Apples and Oranges in Stairs St. Thomas Vale, Part 2. I was telling you about working at the Samoy Chicken Farm on Church Road, Nollis, Bogwalk in St. Thomas Vale. What happens is that the boss's wife, Miss Shirley, find out that the broilers in my coop look healthier and have better weight, and she start to sing me praise. So the other worker in charge of the other coop began to dislike me when I started to get more praise than him. But after all that, him still win over me because I can't carry praise, go to the shop and pay for nothing. Also, although I was the better worker, the missus was paying the other guy more money each week just because he worked for her for a far longer time than me. And after that, the same jealous co-worker would start to tell lies on me to bring about my downfall. And so, rather than wait till they fire me unfairly, I left the job after less than 1 year. To tell the truth, I also had another reason. The next door farm owner accused me of throwing a load of chicken poop over the fence into a ditch in his yard. I didn't do it. So I decided to walk away from trouble when I can, for my spirit did sight danger coming if I should stay. I worked for a time as a watchman with a relative of Miss Calvin, and then after that I find myself going back to Valley. And soon after that again, I got a seasonal job reaping and carrying bunches of bananas on Tuller Farm in Bogwalk. The primary school is at the corner of the same road. Meanwhile, there was a woman who used to treat me kindly. She was more to me than my mother, now that I was growing up to be a man. And it was her daughter's boyfriend who, seeing my problem finding a job that I could live off, took me to Kingston. And it's in town that I started selling peanuts and little things like that in a shopping plaza not far from Devon House. I made some money selling fruit like oranges in town where I worked for myself and did not need to read or write. But again, the pay was not enough, as the only way I could keep doing that is to find a place to live free. And since I wanted to be able to take care of myself without being beholden to anybody, I returned back to Valley to consider what my next move should be. So I turned around again and moved to Valley to check out if any opportunity was there for me, since that was where I was born and grew, and started school. And I even remember when I started school, how teacher put me up in front bench because she said I was learning so fast. But my mother didn't have the money to send me to school to buy lunch. And I never had a school shoes, so me and other children would go barefooted and wore tear-up clothes since we had to keep the few nice ones for church. This time, my cousin was working on a truck, taking market people that were higgling, which is putting together loads of food, and we would take them into Kingston from Falmouth and sometimes sell in Falmouth Market. This used to be a popular thing when they sold clothes made at the Kingston Free Zone, although they were not to be sold in Jamaica, but shipped to foreign. I helped him to do this job, but he didn't share what he got fairly with me. I would work as a sideman, and after 4 days, all I was getting was enough to buy food for the rest of the week. I could not put anything in savings and could hardly buy shoes, and that's why I mostly wear slippers up to today, for it's cheaper, and when you wear shoes, they get destroyed easily. The next best thing was to move back to St. Catherine, and I got a job once more with Tuller Estate, for my name was still good down there. Something special happened to me this time, for I met Tashi, my baby mother, while working there. The work was just laboring, carrying bananas from the farm to where distributors collected them for sale. About a year later, in 2001, my first child, a girl, was born. Because my baby mother had to move in with her parents as soon as she had my daughter, I also decided to be closer to them, and I went back to Lucky Valley and started to look another better paying job. I was lucky to find one that did not require me to be a laborer and feel smarter than others that went to school and could read and write. For the first time in my life, I started to do something that as a little boy I used to dream about. That is, to be a farmer. When I was little, I would capture lizards and make believe that there were animals on the farm, and would use cardboard boxes and make buildings and carts on my private little farm. And I kept to myself and shared my farm with no other person in this world. So working on the rich landowners like McConnell's farm meant a lot to me. The job was taking care of orange seedlings. It was an important job for the whole country, and it looked better to me than clean pooping and washing feeding pans, although all that was honest work. The McConnell family were big in agriculture and manufacturing. They planted large orchards of oranges, and my first job was to circle the roots, clear away the grass from around the root, and prepare each root for water and fertilizer. Mr. Peter McConnell studied agriculture and get a degree from overseas, and he now managed the operation that included production of orange juice. The family used to be in cane, but the lands are now planted in citrus in a big way and employs lots more people than when I was there. But I still like to remember working there, for my daughter was born on the day I received my first pay for the job, a job that people respect. Fortunately for me, you could do the job well just by following instructions and being alert. You didn't need to be literate. There were some other hustlings that made more money, such as driving a taxi. But although I had a driver's license by the taxi owner bribing the officials, I had to stop doing it, because if the police stopped me and found out I was unable to read the road signs and those things, I would be in some serious trouble with the law. One of the businessmen in Linstead, who offered me a driving job until I told him I had a secret problem with the reading, was Mr. Lee. He owned a big supermarket and the Lotter building, and ran 2 Western Union branches and leased offices to Victoria Mutual Building Society. That was my bank to be. He was offering me a job in the meat section of his supermarket when I refused the driver job, because he said he was suspicious about the honesty of the person that was operating the meat section. I took another job from him involving keeping rooms and stores secure and under lock and key. But a trusted female supervisor lost the keys and lied that I had not returned them to her. The boss was very nice about it, but because of my handicap, he was quick to believe I must have been the party that had made the wrong move. When the truth was discovered, and he again asked me to fill the position in the meat section, I still wouldn't agree to do it, because my spirit saw danger, and I turned my back on it. It happened that not long after I refused to return to work at Mr. Lee's supermarket, that the same Mr. Lee was murdered by the same worker in the meatpacking section he believed was stealing from him. Life is hard. Many in my position have either been killed or jailed. Thank God that he spared me from shame and death. For although I am under the pressure of poverty, I know personally what hunger is like. But at least I am free to dream of a brighter future for my family and me. The narrator. Fate, however, causes us to be moved around like marbles on a checkerboard. It appears to people like Martin that they are trapped in a cycle of inevitable poverty, even as the country's economic development diversifies from agriculture and expands into the industrial phase. Because of limitations of those at the bottom of the food chain, they feel helplessly swept up into a game of right and wrong moves, even as they try, in their humble non-criminal way, to move upwards, to lift themselves, and aspire to become their own independent and self-sufficient person one day. When I met Steer, he was 30 years of age and worked as a sideman on one of my neighbor's fleet of trucks that distributed products from the Nestle Bybrook Condensery, which had expanded its operations in Boardwalk in 1983. Tradewind Citrus, in similar manner, was vertically integrated in 2012 to control the entire process of creating and delivering quality juices for local and external markets. The story Steer tells of his prior existence is depressingly factual. Although his life appeared to have taken a more promising turn 10 years ago, the fact that he, partially because of an unfortunate injury to his hand by a power saw, continues to be poor, unanchored, and failing to fully support his young family, is explained and better understood in conversations that follow. The foregoing is extracted from Steer and Spirit Weed by co-authors Ramon Gordon and Myron Martin, a true story of spiritual survival from the parish of St. Thomas y Vale in Jamaica, 1978 to 2023.